Days ago, I was having a conversation with a friend about the war, the crimes, and the chaos going on in the world, and where African countries stood on the basis of economic development and how developing countries were progressing or faring. When I didn't mention Nigeria, he asked why I hadn't mentioned my own country. I said something that many may consider controversial. In my opinion, Nigeria is not developing. In many ways, it is underdeveloped and in some critical areas, regressing. Now, that's a strong statement, so let's look at the facts and data that support my conviction. About 10 to 15 years ago, many African countries, including Nigeria, were widely referred to as underdeveloped. Gradually, the language shifted. We began to hear developing countries. But what actually changed? What measurable progress justified the rebranding? According to the World Bank and the United Nations, a country is considered to be developing when it shows sustained improvement in key indicators, such as rising gross national income per capita, longer life expectancy, better education outcomes, improved infrastructure, stable institutions, and higher standards of living. So, how does Nigeria measure up? Let's start with income. Nigeria's GDP is large, over 400 billion rebased, making it one of Africa's largest economies. But GDP alone does not tell the whole story. GDP per capita, which reflects average individual prosperity, is far more revealing. According to World Bank data, Nigeria's GDP per capita in 2014 was around $3,200. By 2023, it had fallen to roughly $1,600 in nominal terms. That means the average Nigerian today is economically worse off than a decade ago. Meanwhile, inflation remains persistently high, exceeding 30% in 2024, drastically eroding purchasing power. Now, let's talk about poverty. The National Bureau of Statistics reported in 2022 that about 63% of Nigerians, approximately 133 million people, are classified as multidimensionally poor. That means they lack access to adequate healthcare, education, sanitation, and living standards. The World Bank has also warned that Nigeria accounts for one of the largest population of destitute people globally. What about life expectancy? According to the United Nations, Nigeria's life expectancy is about 54 years, significantly below the global average of about 73 years. In healthcare spending, Nigeria allocates less than 5% of its GDP to healthcare. That's far below the Abuja Declaration target of 15% set by African Union countries in 2001. In education, UNICEF reports that Nigeria has one of the highest number of out-of-school children in the world, estimated at 18 million. That's not a developing trajectory. That's a structural crisis. To infrastructure. Electricity generation in Nigeria fluctuates between 4,000 and 5,000 megawatts for a population exceeding 200 million people. By comparison, South Africa, with about 60 million people, generates over 40,000 megawatts. Reliable electricity is the backbone of industrialization. Without it, manufacturing struggles, small businesses suffer, and economic expansion stalls. To roads. According to Nigeria's Federal Ministry of Works, only about 60,000 kilometers of the country's roughly 200,000 kilometers of roads are paved, and a significant portion of those are in poor conditions. There is not a single state in the country, including the capital, where roads infrastructure meets comprehensive modern standards. To water and sanitation. The World Health Organization and UNICEF Joint Monitoring Program estimates that tens of millions of Nigerians lack access to clean drinking water and basic sanitation facilities. Then, there's data and governance. Nigeria's last population census was conducted in 2006, recording 140 million people. Today, estimates range from 216 to 220 million, but these are projections, not verified counts. It is difficult to plan effectively for healthcare, education, housing, or employment without knowing your actual population size. Currency strength is another indicator. In the early 80s, the naira was stronger than the US dollar. Today, following repeated devaluations and foreign exchange crisis, the naira trades at about 1,500 to a dollar in the parallel market as of 2025. Currency depreciation never defines development, but persistent instability signals deeper structural weakness in productivity and exports. To be clear, development is not about ceremonial receptions abroad or political slogans at home. It's about measurable improvement in citizens' quality of life. And yes, Nigeria has potential. It has the largest economy in Africa by size, one of the youngest populations in the world, a median age of about 18, vast natural resources, and a thriving tech and creative sector. Nigerian startups raised over $1 billion in venture funding in peak years before the global slowdown. Nollywood is one of the largest film industry in the world by volume. Nigerian music dominates African streaming charts and is penetrating the world. But isolated success stories do not equal systemic development. A developing country was built from the ground up. Reliable power, functioning schools, accessible healthcare, efficient transport systems, credible data system, and strong institutions. Development is not announced, it is experienced. So the question remains, has Nigeria demonstrated sustained broad-based improvement in income, infrastructure, healthcare, education, governance, and living standards over the last decade? The data suggests otherwise. This is not a message of hopelessness, it's a call for honesty. Nations develop when citizens demand accountability, institutional reforms and long-term planning, not just promises, but performance, not just renewed hope, but measurable outcomes. If you think I'm wrong, I stand corrected. Show me the data. Show me the sustained upward trends in living standards. Show me the evidence that the average Nigerian today lives significantly better than they did 10 years ago. Development is not a title, it is a trajectory, and trajectories can change, but only when we first confront reality.